All right, what's up, everybody? Mortgage Coach community. I have a very special guest, Steve de Laveaga. Did I say it right, Steve? I mean, I've butchered it for like how many years now?
That was awful, but you're getting closer than you were a year ago, so that's great.
How you say it out loud real quick?
Phonetically, it's De Laveaga.
De Laveaga.
There you
So
go.
I just said it.
Hey,
Yes.
very good.
So so
That's a,
Steve, go ahead
I was going to say that's okay, Savage. I appreciate you.
and bring it, bro. That makes me feel better.
That was very
Uh,
French.
I think I'm just gonna start. It's Stevie
There
D.
you go. How are you,
Uh,
man?
so for any mortgage professionals, any mortgage executives, watch this right now. Like, this guy knows the real estate space like no other. Gary Keller has consulted with him for years, partnered with them in a number of ways. I truly don't know, Steve, I don't want to say no one knows more than you around the lead space in real estate space, but you are, truly one of the pioneers when it comes to big teams, big real estate teams that are partnering with mortgage executives, and they're buying leads and they're doing it profitably. Like, they're doing it profitably and at scale. And I think it's safe to assume that things are changing. Is that fair to say?
Well, again, I'd like to. I have the largest agnostic network of elite teams in America, meaning we have independent teams, EXP teams, real teams, LPT teams, Keller Williams teams, and we can see how all the different groups manage it. And to your point, David, the lead game changed forever in the Super Bowl. If you remember the Super Bowl, Homes.com was bought by CoStar. CoStar is a $31 billion firm. They could buy Fidelity National Financial 3 times over. That's how big they are. And they decided when they bought Homes.com, they took 1 year and just basically loaded it with the most data. CoreLogic and CoStar are a data company by trade. They made it the most data-rich real estate site in the world. And then they spent literally $995 million marketing it. In the Super Bowl, they came out with their 4 commercials. You'll know what they are. They're the gal flying around the helicopter. They're pulling them off of local areas. And what that now has moved, they've grown 600%. They're now the first or second, depending on what them and Zillow argue about, in terms of eyeballs to their site every month. And they don't let you buy leads. They're not a lead company. They believe it's your listing, your lead. It's the anti-Zillow, anti-Realtor.com model. So now big elite teams used to go into Zillow and say, hey, I'll pay 40 grand a month for this market or these zip codes or whatever. Well, those things can't happen anymore now. So now the lead volume for these major portals has dropped significantly. And the ones like the smaller ones are having a harder time, Movoto, et cetera, creating eyeballs because Homes.com has taken so much of that market share, and they're not distributing leads unless it's your listings, your leads. So what we had to do in my world, I had to get my teams from buying leads or portals or online lead gen. I had to move them to the front of the transaction and get to the consumer. So I paid about $1 million for data 6 months ago, and we got into the distress space because you don't ever hear Dave talk about distress. And the truth is, now distress has become one of the largest niches in America. You won't hear about it until this election's over, but I can tell you right now, student loan, 1.77 trillion right now, Dave, in student loan debt. Last month, 53% of that 1.77 trillion did not make a payment on time.
Wow.
What's the next biggest expense in a home after mortgage? What's the next biggest expense for homeowners?
Debt, consumer debt.
Yeah, but what is it? Like, what is it? It's a car.
Oh, well, it's a trillion. I mean, it's the highest consumer debt has ever been in America. It's over $1 trillion. Probably
1.67 trillion in car loans. In the month of June, we had the most ever default on a car loan because high interest rates don't just mean higher mortgage rates. Higher car payments now are at an all-time high. And they had the most default they'd ever had. Credit card debt, 1.29 trillion in the month of June, the largest ever default in credit card payments. Now you have cars and credit cards not being paid for. You've got student debt, which people think should be forgiven, and half the people aren't paying that. And now you're starting to see mortgage. People are like, oh my gosh, Steve, what's going to happen? And I say, listen, I have 210 million consumer profiles. The mortgage is the last thing people don't pay. They don't pay their credit cards first, well, student loans first, then credit cards, then car, then it's mortgage. So we were able to gather 219 fields of data, run it through our AI engine, and create a DVD lead, a distressed verified data seller lead. And I get those to my realtors when they're in the second inning of their problem. Then they're late on their credit card. Now they've got to start figuring what they do. Now, here's the good news, everybody. We have 301, as David talked about in this podcast, we have $301 trillion of equity. We've never had this much equity in the history of the United States in property. So the game becomes, how do I get my equity out of my house such that I can then go pay off a credit card, get out of this, student loan thing I'm in, and then I'll just go rent for a year and figure it out. That's what's happening now. And our realtors, we do 10,000 plus a month, and it grows 1,000 or so every month of our realtors consuming more of this distressed verified data that they can go help their consumers pull that equity out, solve some of their debt problem, and move on. There's no referral fee, no success fee. Our realtors keep 100% of their commission. That's why it's the fastest growing trend in real estate. And I told our people, you got 6 to 9 months of blue ocean before everybody gets in this game. It's like doing short sales day when short sales, no one would do them. It's like having an REO account back in 7 and 8 when no one really wanted to do it. But if you figured it out, you made millions. This is the same thing. It's the great, now what's happening? Now you're going to get rates drop half a point. You tell me, you're the expert, but stock market's crashing. Job report, when you look into it, is terrible. Now you've got the Fed being told they waited too long. You're going to see a 50 bip drop. When that stuff starts to happen, you're going to see a frenzy to people wanting to get their equity out. But if you haven't been in discussion, in proximity to your data bank, your database, then it's going to be harder. My realtors have stayed in proximity. They're doubling their call time. They're doubling their lead gen time right now, knowing in the next 60 to 90 days, you can make your entire next 2 years in the next 4 months.
Wow. Yeah, I knew all the debt numbers, but I did not realize something you shared with me before we started recording, that 5.7% of households with a mortgage are in distress, which, somewhere between 5 and 3 million households. How do you define this?
Good question. We have it 4 ways, right? You're not paying a student loan debt on time, not paying a credit card on time, not paying your car payment on time, and or your mortgage. Now we track mortgage by days late, 31, 36, 47, and we update every 48 hours in the AI engine. So we're now starting to see that number get higher. Now remember, 72% of every house that has a mortgage was bought right now after 2013. So they've never seen anything but this straight line of up, right? So a lot of times people are not paying their mortgage thinking they have to leave their house, but they've got equity. So our realtors, we've really encouraged them to go be options dealers. You're not calling that person to list their house. You're calling them and say, hey, Dave, listen, I can help you. You have 42,000 in equity. I can get you out of that mortgage. I can get your credit cards paid off, and I can get you whole right now. The longer we wait, the harder everything gets, right? So right now you want to be in blue ocean. You wait till this thing's in red ocean. Now you've got inventories rising. When inventories rise, now you're going to have a harder time with prices. But the good news is we got all these folks on the mortgage sideline, as you know, waiting to see 6.5, 6.3. Boy, if we could sniff 5.9, you'd have an absolute frenzy of people coming to the market.
Wow. Okay. So big opportunity. So let's park that.
Okay.
Now let's talk about Nar Settlement. I'm going to share and kind of triangulate the opportunity as I see it. Tell me if you agree this. So when I think of the Nar Settlement, I'm under the thesis that, whether it happens quickly or slowly, at some point, the majority of buyers are making their offer blind. Like, listing agents are not going to be like, yeah, we're participating and this is how much. First of all, do you agree with that? Like, most are going to be blind.
Well, I'll say this. I think it really depends on the listing agent's talent. Buyer's agents, not their talent, the listing agent's talent. Here's what I mean by that. The listing agent, if they understand the settlement and the commission thing, forget commission. This is not a commission discussion. People miss this whole boat. It's what you tell your seller who's got a $600,000 house, who 95% of the time is going to have a mortgage with it. It's an affordability discussion. So the seller says, which they ask now in every living room, hey, Dave, I hear I don't have to pay any commission to the buyer's agent, right? And you say, absolutely true. You don't have to pay anything to that. But let's make sure we understand what that means. It's not the buyer's agent is the issue. That buyer then, to buy your home, has got to come out of pocket $18,000 in cash. which will take away 31 to 33% of every buyer. Now that mortgage, if they have to add 18,000 in cash to the affordability of your home, you just lost 31% of the consumers that could ever afford that. So my job, most eyeballs, shortest amount of time to get greatest demand. We've now taken 31 to 33% of those folks. Now let's go look at another home that they can. So I always say, I want to make our home most affordable to get the highest offers. You care if you pay 3%, 6%, or 10%. If I get you 625,000, which gets you a higher net, which one means more to you? That's what my listing agents are saying now. It's an affordability discussion, not a commission discussion.
Yeah,
And
no,
the
we
truth,
totally agree that most people are selling with mortgages, buying with mortgages, but it's still, for our community, I'm trying to help loan officers prepare buyers to be super excited about buying, super clear on what that looks like. And I'm telling them that, you know, you need to get really good at, first of all, selling the dream of home ownership, building wealth with real estate. Something Mortgage Coach does a good job with. Showing different commission options, like, hey, you can afford it. Here's what will happen. Let's just say 70% of the time, seller's going to pay it. Good to go. If they don't, we could raise the purchase price and cover it. We could adjust your down payment and cover it, or you could pay it out of pocket. But I'm just thinking that a loan officer could be a realtor's best friend, because they could be the ones telling that buyer, here's all the different ways, regardless of what the seller does, to cover my commission. Thoughts on that?
You and I connected on this for a reason. We talked about this. I think now more than ever, the lender the realtor chooses to be their mortgage partner matters now more than ever. Because before, your lender's like, hey, give me a deal, I can get it done, I'll take care of it, I'll close it fast, blah, blah, blah. Now, if you can help a realtor with their value proposition, if you can help ensure they can have a quality conversation of value, because if they can't on the buyer side, they're in trouble. Buyer commission is not even official yet. I think it starts late August in most places. Buyer commission's already dropped since this settlement started in February. Already dropped. Okay. Right. Because if you can't explain your value to the buyer in such a way they think they're getting a competitive advantage, why would they pay you? And a lot of my sellers are saying, yes, we will pay a commission. They're being vague about it, but they're not going to say what it is because they want to see the offer. You send me an offer with the address not filled out, a lender I've never heard of, and you've done 2 deals in the last 24 months, that probably doesn't earn you a buyer commission. You send me an offer fully vetted with a lender that's done 40 deals year to date, that you've got an agent you've been practicing for a long time, you've got letters of reference, you've got a buyer. Now all of a sudden, that's a quality offer that should be given consideration. The idea we'd pay everybody the same every time was always a dumb model. And quite frankly, I don't disagree with the premise of the settlement. I think it was correct that saying things like, well, no one will show your house if you don't pay a commission. That's not something that should ever been said. And it was said all the time.
Okay. So one takeaway I got, and for everyone listening, Steve agrees that you, as a mortgage professional, have a historic opportunity to be even more valuable to agents. Yep. Yes, you need to close loans on time. Yes, you need to have competitive rates, but more importantly, you need to help them deliver a value prop before they even show a home, so that they can optimize their commission and they can get a contract, and you can give that consumer optimized motivation to buy, and to the point where they're going to win in a multiple offer situation. Because, you know, with rates coming down, we're already seeing a lot of multi-offers situations. That is only going to accelerate. So here's the next question, and I know you're going to agree with me, but nevertheless, we need to get to the consumer first. And so, yes, and we'll close out with distress. Like, if you're a mortgage professional, how can people lead into your community? But I think that, like, the loan officer's database and the loan officer's ability to optimize, guys, 300 trillion in opportunity, move ups, help access that equity so they can help their kids buy their first home sooner, help improve their cash flow. 6% of them aren't paying their credit card. You could accelerate their financial freedom by showing them how to restructure their debt. You could you could help them move up, take all that equity out of your home, and now go buy a new home with lesser down payment, and you
Uh,
could be better off.
I have one of your best clients and one of my best clients, Dustin DeHart from Mutual of Omaha. He's one of our largest consumers of DVD leads for him and his agents. He takes your Mortgage Coach software and shows them
What's
how they can. Dustin DeHart,
DeHart? Okay.
Dehart.
Yeah.
Top loan officer out of Vegas, unbelievable, great partner with Mutual of Omaha. Dustin will take his Mortgage Coach software that you've taught him how to use and say, hey, with your equity, I've got you out of credit card debt. We've paid off 80% of your student loan. We haven't killed your credit. You can retain 22,000 in equity, and then let's go sit on the sideline for a little bit, rent a little bit while you get yourself back. Because remember, there's usually a reason for distress. I'm going through divorce. I lost my job. Whatever the case may be. So having a Mortgage Coach software that shows them what they can do when the realtor says, I can get your cash out of here. And then we use things like cash offers with our partners, people like Tim Heil, Homeward, OfferPad, groups that now have capital that they're saying, I can do a 10-day close, get you out of all this in 10 days. And I'm telling you what we're seeing, David, people are choosing convenience over 90 days and more dollars because they just want out. They're tired of getting creditor calls at work. They're tired of getting people calling them at home at night. They're tired of people knocking on their door. They just want out. And when your realtor offers you a 10-day way out and gives you equity with Mortgage Coach showing you how you pay off all this debt and get out of all of it, so there's no more calls at night, no more people showing up at work, people want that. They want a peace of mind to know, okay, I got out of this. I got my equity out. I got a little money in the bank. Now I can get myself back together, build up over the next year or two, just like we did after 08 and 09, and be able to buy something now I can afford. So yeah, I would say to you, our best partners combo the mortgage side and the real estate side to give that consumer the best option to get out of their problems.
Cool. So one more sanity check. I
Okay.
heard from multiple leaders, again, this is not my opinion, this is just what I'm hearing, is that open houses are likely to become a bigger deal. You know, that people might go to more open houses before they commit to an agent. And that if you're a, you know, super badass listing agent, which I do think they will win, because they know how to run processes, they control inventory, you know, you're going to see more of them bring in and scale up their buyers, you know, platform. But what are your thoughts on open houses becoming a big opportunity post Nar Settlement?
In June, we pulled our top 100 teams. Every one of them does 175 million or more. Open houses was in 91% of those folks' businesses in the top 3 lead gen strategies. So the biggest agents in the world do open houses. And as you know, David, they do open houses not to sell that house. That house is already going to sell. They do that to gather data from either neighbors around the open house and or now buyers who want to do a little more of their own due diligence before they decide they're going to pay someone. So you're exactly right. Open houses in the process, 40 signs out, all right-hand read, no more than 3 turns off a major street, automatic sign-in, music playing at the open house. The fact that the seller says, I want everyone that walks through, I need you to register every person. I want to know who walks through my home. So they need to collect data. They're in the data collection business. And then they're going to communicate with a consistent cadence through their CRM about, hey, here's your updated VIP executive search where I've made tweaks based on what you and I talked about when you were in my open house. These are all the things that are going to happen. You see what's happening. The ones that are big are getting bigger. The ones professional are winning more. The ones that were casually doing real estate, respectfully, that's going to get very hard.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but by the way, we haven't talked personally, but my son Jack Savage has, you know, graduated from college and is fired up to become an agent. And I'm like,
Is that our rock star lacrosse player? He's going into real estate. I love it.
He's
Oh boy.
Syracuse lacrosse player. So I mean, he's going to win at whatever he does. But I'm like, hey, whenever the game is changing, there's just massive opportunity because you don't have the same expectations, you don't have the same bad habits, and real estate's a game where if you play it, you know, at a 1% level, you do really well. And so just
100%.
go out there and be a 1%er.
100%. And by the way, your mortgage officers, find the ones that are either emerging talent and heading that way or ones that are there. Stop spending time with people who were doing 2 to 4 houses a year. Now we're going to do 0. You got to get to a higher level realtor, which is why find networks and communities that can do that. That's important.
So before we run out of time, I wanted to show you something new in Trust Engine land. And then I want to
I
make
love
sure
it.
when every loan officer knows how to get in touch with you and learn about yours. So, so we just rolled out a new app. Now, you know, Mortgage Coach, you described how we are bringing clarity and confidence to buyers at the front end. But now we're monitoring the database of loan officers, which we've been doing for eligibility and propensity, and and we are predicting purchases, you know, first time buyers in this household, move up buyers in this household. And at the same time, we start to digitally engage with that consumer. It shows up on an app. This is the loan officer's mobile app. And they could sort
Love
it
it.
by, but you know, it auto sorts by propensity. And all of these are like good reasons to call. And when a loan officer
That's
clicks, it's got a link to email, a link to text, a link to call. It's got coaching built into it. It's got scripts, what to say if you call, what to see if you text. I could copy a script, hit a text, boom, copy, paste, send. And
love it.
then, and then as it has an integration with Mortgage Coach. As the consumer starts to connect, the propensity score goes up. Anyways, all the data you need. What do you think of the new app?
What I love about you is, and this is where it's going, AI has come to real estate, David, as you know.
Oh yeah.
And my agents that are using AI to qualify, not to sell. AI will never sell in real estate. That's a myth. Don't believe that. They will allow you to figure out who's doing this in your data bank slash database. And what you just showed me is the future in mortgage, the same way getting realtors to the front of the transaction at the consumer level is the future of real estate. If you're going to be at the end, your referral fees are going to go from 36 to 40 to 45 to 50% of every deal, as opposed to getting to the front and being a little bit more on the data side, not just the pay for lead, pay for referral side. So I love what you're doing. And you know this, you've always been ahead of that game, and that's why your guys do better.
And so what are your thoughts if you were a loan officer and you became, hey, Mortgage Coach, here's how I'm gonna help you on the front end. Here's what I'm doing with all the business you're giving me. You know, don't you think that's gonna give the Mortgage Coach, the Trust Engine powered Mortgage Coach, a distinct advantage?
If they use it, if they apply it. I always say this, mortgage coach, like our program at the Rev Firm, our DVD program, it's about a gym membership. You have to go to the gym. So if you go to the gym, you're going to get fitter. If you use it, you're going to get better. The best mortgage coach lows I have understand that showing the consumer in a really easy visual way how they can get themselves out of their problems by using money differently. Your guys are like us, they're options dealers, not just calling you to get a refi. I'm actually an options dealer. Hey, listen, I can help you in these three ways. Do we want to maybe it's not, maybe selling your house is the option. Maybe it is a cash out refi. And here's why. Here's what it looks like. Now, as rates drop, there's more options. Your guys always just did a better job of that, David. And that's why we love working with you.
Well, you and I always see the world alike, and I love it. And you opened my eyes wider today to the distress space. For any mortgage professional, and I have more real estate professionals than ever before watching our YouTube channel. We have more loan officers sharing this content. You know, how can people learn more about your platform and anything you want to share about your platform to everyone watching this?
Absolutely. I would say this, our company, therevfirm.com or therevenuefirm.com. You can go there. That outlines all the things that we do for title, mortgage, real estate. Just hit me up on that. Just my contact information is there. You can shoot me a DM. You can shoot me a text or an email or a call. Any of those are easy. All of our stuff, we don't let anybody sign up directly. It's all consultation, meaning we have to make sure you're the right fit for our network, because my realtors trust if I bring an LO in, I've vetted them. I know that they can do the things better, faster, more efficiently with a higher level of technology understanding than the people around them. So we don't let it, you can't sign up. You can sign up for an executive overview, which allows us to walk through the ways in which we help people and to see if we're a good fit for each other. So if that's something that makes sense, hit us up. We'll set up a 20-minute overview, go through our executive offering and see if it's a fit for you.
Yeah, and make sure you follow this guy on social media. He is always, you know, social media for business. I love the name of your company, the Rev Firm. I mean, I always think of you as just like a chief revenue officer and helping smart, competitive, big teams, grow business, grow revenue. Anything else? Any closing thoughts before we wrap it up, bro?
No, sir, but I'll say this, David, you're more right now than you've ever been. Stock market just dropped 2,000 points the last 2 days. You're about to see a 50-point drop. You got to be on this thing double. My top agents are doubling their lead gen right now, knowing the money comes in 60 to 90 days. I say to your loan officers, please do the same thing.
All right, guys. Hopefully you got tons of value from this. If you don't already, like or subscribe to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. Follow savageinsights.com. There's also a mobile club that you can sign up at savageinsights.com. Check it out. Take care, everybody. This is a wrap.